Welcome to Gimcrack Video. How can I help you tonight?
Hey, yeah, we're just browsing for something a little different.
Well, have you tried our Forgotten Classics section?
Is that the one over there under the sign that says "Blighted by God"?
Oh, I found something. Have you seen this before?
Never heard of it. Let's grab it.
Enjoy your selection.
Hey, you know we're still here, right?
Oh.
If we don't blame the equipment, then we have to admit my fault specifically, and I'm not about that life.
So yeah, we got to put the blame somewhere.
Yeah, it might as well be on Yeti.
Is Blue the name of the company, or
I think Blue is the name of the company and Yeti's the name of the mic, which is confusing, only because my brain is also associating Yeti as the name of a company because of the
the cooler
ice boxes. Yeah, the cooler.
Yeah, ice boxes.
The anti-heat devices.
Anti-heat devices. I guess that's one way to describe it. All right. Guess without further ado, should we just get this party started? Anything else you need to discuss beforehand?
I mean, no, I haven't watched any reality TV or anything, so.
Why not?
There's just a lot of that seems interesting. Are there things on reality TV that interest you?
No, but I watch it anyway. I don't know why. I started this stupid Milf Manor bit. Mm-hmm. Now I can't fucking stop because I don't even enjoy it at all. And it's not even like I hate watch it. I committed to it and now I have to finish it out. So
that was my opinion with Velma. So I understand where you are coming from.
Yeah, but that was a little more hate watching too.
It was fascination.
Yeah.
I couldn't turn away from something so catastrophic. It would be as if someone televised the destruction of Pompeii. Okay. Could you not watch?
You'd have to. Well, okay. So the good news is this is the penultimate episode. There's only one episode of Milf Manor left after this one, so I only have to watch one more of these fucking shows. But it was crazy because they were deciding their matches on this episode, and they were like having to match up. So they decided it was like they texted everybody and said, okay, you pick your partner, and if you guys match, you stay on the show. If you don't match, you're out. So it was like, two guys picked the same lady, and 3 of the ladies picked the same guy. So there's only 4 couples left out of that. Everybody they cut down half the people, booted them all, and they did some weird shit and brought family members in, and they started, one of the sons started flirting with one of the daughters from the other mom or something like that. It's just fucking weird. It's just gone off the rails, and it's not even that great. And why am I watching this?
It's almost biblical.
Yeah. I mean, I should be watching like the Father Bennett trilogy instead of watching Milf Manor.
I mean, it's a horror, whether or not it takes place in Amityville.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaking of horror.
Yeah. No, there's nothing horrible about this, but yeah, let's get this started. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Found on Shelf, the only podcast talking about singing and dancing aliens. And I'm Dustin, and with me here is Patrick. How are we doing tonight, Patrick?
Well, I'm doing fine.
All right.
I'd be doing better if my jokes would land, but
well, it sounds like something's landing on the floor. Are we doing like a little Foley artist work now? Is that
sure?
Just making little sound effects.
I'll come up with some celery next time. Just like
Get some coconuts and start riding a horse around.
We're branching off into new ventures with the podcast.
Of course, because we gotta keep it fresh and keep it interesting. And speaking of interesting, today we are talking about So first, let me say I found this movie. A friend of mine, Adrian, found this movie in a bin at like Sam Goody or something. It was one of these like $5 bins of different DVDs, and it was called Naked Space, and it had Leslie Nielsen on the cover. And I'd never seen it, never heard of it, so it was pretty much an instant buy at that point. $5, Leslie Nielsen, why not? You go for it. So that's how I discovered this movie. Did you know of this movie's existence?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you showed me a scene from it at one point in time, but before that I had not heard of it. And then you showed me the scene from it, and I'm like, that's kind of funny. But I didn't watch it until this week when you made that an inevitability. I can say words. That's not the alcohol. That's just my inability to speak. No, I hadn't heard of it before. I have heard of it now.
Yep.
I have questions.
I've got answers.
Do you?
I've got 7 pages of notes. So
that's as many notes as you came to the table for Winter Beast with.
I might have some answers for you. Oh my God!
Is one of them what happened to that guy from Winter Beast?
That's the greatest mystery of all.
All right, so this is Naked Space.
This movie went by several titles, and I'll kind of talk about why it went by several different titles.
Yeah, but I do know that the other title is also the original title of the original cut, which I have not seen. Mm-hmm. I saw Naked Space. I did not see The Creature Wasn't Nice.
Yes. So yeah, there was basically 2 different versions of this movie. Technically 3 different versions, because one was edited slightly different with the framing of it. But anyway, we're talking about the 1981 film you might have seen called Spaceship, might have seen called The Creature Wasn't Nice, might have seen called Naked Space. So
also Zombie 6.
Yes. What would be your elevator pitch for this movie? How'd you describe it?
Community theater does Alien.
Bingo.
It's exactly a community theater vibe. It's like, if anyone's seen Fellowship the musical, it's that. It feels like that.
Would it surprise you to know that quite a few people involved in this movie are worked in and off of Broadway?
Not at all. I feel like off Broadway has a heavy influence. And it's not necessarily a dig at off Broadway. Little Shop of Horrors famously was an off Broadway show. Hedwig and the Angry Inch was fantastic off Broadway. So if I'm going to be theater kid here, yes, of course, off Broadway.
I would actually watch the stage version of this as well. I think that would be interesting.
I think it works better on the stage because it does not work as a movie.
There's a reason why it did not work as a movie, and we'll talk about that. But first, I did find a copy of the original trailer on VHS. Yeah.
Okay.
So
let her rip.
Here we go.
Hey, space freaks! Welcome to the Spaceship Vertigo, whose 5-year mission is to seek out new life, have it baptized, teach it table manners, and find a creature who doesn't have to phone home. Ace Starfleet Commander J. Jameson will give you a first-hand look at what space adventure is all about.
Never a moment's rest.
You'll be getting plenty of help from First Mate Rosinski.
8, 14, 7,
33 and
6,
a third.
5.
11,
Joining them are Morale Officer Annie McHugh.
Hey, nice bod.
Ship's Dr. Stark. He's Stark Raven Man.
I need this organism. They'll have to call it the Stark organism.
It was John who did discover the organism.
You're gonna call it the John organism?
And Captain Chef John. If you really want to get your rockets off,
have to go to the bathroom, but I don't know if I'm a boy or a girl.
Take a ride on the only rockin', rippin' spaceship in the universe.
There are things in this that were not in the movie.
Find out what 9 out of 10 alien creatures want for
Well, they were in the movie.
dessert.
I want to eat your face.
We don't want this piece of snot on board our spaceship.
It could just be so yummy. I like your face in my tummy.
This creature means no harm.
Remember, in Spaceship, everyone can hear you scream. Spaceship, void were prohibited. See it, or we'll have to make a sequel.
That definitely sounded like a threat. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was when the movie was called Spaceship. That was how it was. So it was originally creature wasn't nice, and then they called it Spaceship to try to piggyback off of Airplane because that was so successful. And
because this is 82 or 83.
81, I think, is actually when it first came out. No, well, actually, I'm getting conflicting dates because they filmed it in 1980. One thing says it was released in 1981, another thing says it was released in 1983, and I think that's just because it had different titles.
Well, the date is really important. Well, no, it is, because Leslie Nielsen is a dramatic actor. Leslie Nielsen is a dramatic actor who is in mostly B movies, and then Leslie Nielsen is a comedian. And it happens very quickly, but there's a turning point. The turning point is Airplane in 1981. Mm-hmm. However, he has filmed other things prior to that. So you have an Airplane in 1981, and then in 1982, Creepshow comes out, in which he is in the horror segment.
The one with the crab on the beach with Ted Danson?
Yeah. I forget the name of that one, but he is like this VHS aficionado guy, and he's drowning his wife and her lover on the beach, and then they come back and they kill him. It's a terrible one, but he's really eating it up.
Segment.
He's like insane. It's great.
Yeah. No,
and then also in 1982, Police Squad, the TV series, happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so between the success of Airplane in 81 and Police Squad 82, now Leslie Nielsen, who has had like middling success as a B-movie actor, but a dramatic person, is immediately a comedian overnight because he has deadpan delivery. But we don't get like The Naked Gun until 87. So
no, this was right after Airplane. So this was written in 1980, filmed, I want to say it was like in May of 81, and it all kind of went downhill after that, after some madness. And I had planned to do this movie a few weeks ago, but while I was looking into it, I discovered that the director of the original director of this movie started an Indiegogo that was successfully funded, just like in 2019, to release the original director's cut of the movie along with commentary.
So have you seen the director's cut?
Yes, I have.
How different is it?
Very different.
Is it worth watching?
It's the quality of it is not great. But I think overall it ended up being a slightly better movie. And as we go along, in this movie, I'll kind of point out some of the differences and some of the things that we said, or that are different between the original director's cut and the original release. But yeah, basically what happened was the producers took control of this movie and re-edited it and then called it Spaceship. Out to movie theaters, and it was only out in movie theaters for like a very short time, and then it went to VHS. It didn't sell very well. They sold the rights to the USA Network, and it stayed on there for a little while, and it was doing all right. And then they switched it to DVD, and they called it Naked Space to try to piggyback off of Naked Gun. But yeah, the director took it before he turned it over to the producers, he took it to a lab to make a copy of it. So he had an original copy of it that he could re-edit and get this done. So that's how he got this copy out there.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. So the director's cut has 2 commentaries on it. One is
both
just
off color.
One is just the director chatting through it, and the other is the director with Cindy Williams.
Oh, good.
And then there is a.
Are they like friends? I felt like they
yes.
were like friends.
Yes.
Because
they
I
are
felt like her
friends.
presence was a favor.
Not necessarily a favor. They're just friends, and
They're
it
just friends.
just worked. Yeah.
How many favors were called in for this, though?
Not as many as you'd think.
Because it does feel like that.
Yeah, you would think you are going to you're going to be interested when I tell you who was the original cast of this movie, because this is not the original cast.
Of course not.
It was interesting. But yeah, and then the version that was released on VHS had another director's commentary with the director and the editor, the guy that edited his director's cut. So I sat through the movie, I sat through the director's cut, and then I watched the director's cut 2 more times, one with each commentary track, and I watched the first released version with the commentary as well. So I've watched this movie about 5 times in the last week.
And you understand your time on this earth is limited.
Says the man who has watched Winter Beast like a dozen times.
I've made peace with who I am.
At least mine was done in the name of research.
Mine was done in the name of cinematic joy.
Or torture. I don't know which one.
So, pleasure and pain, indivisible.
And then I want you to kind of think about what you think the budget for this movie is.
Well, The Evil Dead cost $300,000, so less than that.
Mm-hmm. Wrong.
Are you telling me this cost $1 million plus?
1.1 was their budget.
Where exactly did that go?
Well, I mean, you had costumes, you had
replicator grade costumes.
Hey, they did like a full body cast of that guy to get that alien costume. So, you know.
Yeah, but that was not necessary to have a Power Rangers grade mascot villain.
But he had a remote control eye. It worked out. So, all right. So, well, first, the first thing is, what year do you think this movie was supposed to take place in?
Oh God, I think they said it. Was it 2012?
It was 2010. You're close.
Okay, I knew they said the date at some point.
Yeah, they just thought, we'll shoot it way in the future. It's not that far in the future. But
2010. I remember where I was in 2010. I was 20, so I was also drinking and watching bad movies. Not much in my life has changed.
Yeah, it's the little things.
Some things are constant.
So, right off the bat of this movie, they changed exactly how the first half of the movie was. Basically, they recut it and re-edited a bunch of it. Like the original one, it had this space station with McDonald's on it, and it was like the spaceship was going up to this McDonald's, and they were kept arguing about what they want to eat, and it was kind of interesting. And
that seems funnier.
Yeah, it works out to be funnier, and then it like starts with the next opening shot after the credits is a scene that we see later in this movie with Cindy Williams just screaming at the top of her lungs.
That was like one of the good jokes in the film.
Yeah, and that was how it originally started. So it was like, you had these 1-2 back to back. You had the McDonald's gag, which it's 1980 spaceship with McDonald's on it. It worked then. And then it cuts to the screaming thing, and it's for like no reason at all. So you're like, okay, and it was funny and it worked. So I do want to take a detour and talk about a couple of members of the cast.
Pause. Let's for continuity's sake, let's do a brief rundown of the plot of the act of the 2 cuts.
Okay.
And then let's talk about the cast. I just think it'll be helpful for listeners.
Okay.
So it's the version I saw, Naked Space, the wide release version, is ostensibly a parody of Alien.
Yeah.
And it is this crew of the spaceship. They land on an alien planet, They find an organism that is like a little globule, and the Dr. Smith kind of guy on board wants to take it back and study it and be famous for discovering an alien organism. But it grows into a monster that is a mascot suit, and he eats almost the entire crew. But at the last second, Cindy Williams and the cook, who is played by the writer and director, are able to defeat him with a song and dance number.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the movie.
Yes.
How does that differ for like the totality of the plot of the original cut?
So the overall plot was basically the same, but the structure was completely different.
Gotcha.
In the director's cut, you had a chance to really get to know the crew first before they went to the alien planet.
Okay.
So it was about 20 minutes into the movie that they went to the alien planet in the director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, it was like 4 minutes, and they were right on that planet. So you didn't know any of these people. You didn't care about any of these people. They were just there doing a thing.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And
then it felt like they were just moving through scenes.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, the version you saw, they basically were just, taking scenes out, putting them wherever they thought they'd fit better. And they threw a bunch of other crap in there that wasn't originally filmed. And it was like, it was kind of weird.
Not entirely unlike Dark Space, where they did a whole bunch of reshoots and threw it in the middle to try and pad the film out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess now we can go back onto your tangent. I just wanted to state for the record what's going on broadly.
Yeah. And then so I just want to kind of I'll talk about a couple of the crew that we kind of already mentioned. Of course, Leslie Nielsen. I don't think I really need to
the captain.
Describe who he is. Everybody should know who he is. He's actually portrayed over 220 different characters, which is pretty insane. And like we said,
renowned fart machine aficionado. Leslie Nielsen.
We will get into that. Don't you worry. We will get into that. He loved that fart machine, even in back then. So yeah, this was like his second or third comedy movie after Airplane. So I tried to.
It's going to be his second. If you're talking about filmed chronologically, because he is not in another feature-length comedy for several years. However, he is in a comedy TV show immediately after Airplane.
Yeah,
the Zucker Brothers Police Squad, from the file it comes out, right? And for anyone who doesn't know, the Naked Gun movies are feature-length spin-offs of a TV show that ran for like a season called Police Squad, which is a parody of Dragnet. And so the first Naked Gun is called The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad. Yeah.
Which that TV show was hilarious. I love how every episode ended with them kind of doing a freeze frame, but they weren't actually doing a freeze frame. They were freezing themselves, but that you could still see them kind of moving around and stuff. That was hilarious.
That show the Naked Gun and Police Squad are genius. However, they are genius that require you to know what Dragnet was.
Yeah.
The further we get away from Dragnet, I think people lose context somehow. Like with context of Dragnet, it's hilarious. Yeah. It's so good that they tried to reboot Dragnet as a comedy movie with Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah,
which is okay. It's okay, but it's not nearly as close to what the Zucker Brothers are doing in Police Squad and Naked Gun. I think it's the Zucker Brothers.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I tried to dig up some facts about Leslie Nielsen that people might not know. He's of course he's Canadian. Did you know that his dad was a Mountie?
I mean, he had to mount someone.
How else was he born? And his dad was also very abusive. So right out of high school, Leslie.
Oh well, now it's sad. Okay.
Right out of high school, he enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force, and he served until the end of World War II.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And he was legally deaf. He had a little hearing aid that he'd wear most of the time. Most people, I think most people know about that. But Patrick, did you know he was on 2 episodes of Murder, She Wrote, playing 2 different roles?
I did not.
And there's your Murder, She Wrote connection. So yeah, and then like we mentioned, you also had John, who is the kind of chef, do-it-all kind of guy who was the...
So John is being played by Bruce Kimmel, who is the writer, director, creator of the show.
Yeah.
And the lyricist.
Yeah. And the singer. He sang the Alien song was him. So yeah, he was in...
He does not have a Wikipedia
page. No, he does not. I'm not sure why not. He's done a lot of stuff. he was in Broadway for a long time, like I mentioned. He wrote, directed, and starred in a movie called The First Nudie Musical with
which Cindy Williams
with
is
Cindy
also
Williams, and that's how he got to. Well, that was their first kind of collaboration together. You
No, that was before Laverne and Shirley.
Yes, yeah. Do you recall the 1998 movie The Faculty? About the high school kids that think their teachers are aliens or something like that?
Yeah, didn't Rodriguez direct
Rodriguez directed it, and Bruce Kimmel was the co-creator of it. Yeah. And he is probably not a surprise to you that he is the leading producer of theater music on CD and has produced over 125 albums.
Really?
Yeah. And if you would like to buy any of those albums, he has his own little label, his own website. It's like Kritzerland, 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 and that's also where I bought this movie from. So you can buy it directly off of that site. And a little known fact about him: he read for the role of Luke Skywalker. And then, of course, you had Cindy Williams. So they just kind of. We'll get into the movie and then we'll go back to the other cast in just a minute. So I don't bore you.
Can you imagine reading for the role of Luke Skywalker and then finding out it's going to Robert Englund's remake?
And they did say they wanted nobodies, so not known people. So I guess that worked out. And of course, you've got Cindy Williams, and Bruce has known Cindy since they were 17 years old. Since he was 17, they went to college together.
Okay.
You know, this is her second appearance on the podcast because she was also in Big Man on Campus.
She was on Big Man on Campus, incredibly.
And so I think the Nudie musical was right around the same time, maybe just a little bit before Laverne and Shirley, but I think she'd already done the Shirley role on Happy Days before that happened.
Yeah, I think she was on Love American Style too.
She was on a lot of stuff back then.
Well, because like Love American Style is first, and Happy Days is a spinoff of Love American Style, and then everything
is a spinoff of
in modern television history. Spinoff of Happy Days.
Yeah,
because you got what do you got? You got Laverne and Shirley, you got Mork and Mindy, you got Joni Loves Chachi, you got the Fonz's weird little cartoon Saturday morning cartoon. There are 8 spinoffs of Happy Days. I just don't remember all of them.
Yeah, there was a lot. And something a little known about her, she auditioned for the role of Princess Leia. And if you search it up on YouTube, you can actually find her audition. They filmed it. So you just look up Cindy Williams Princess Leia and you'll find it.
I could see her doing that. Though.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It's within her wheelhouse.
Yeah, because she had worked with George Lucas before, so that was already her kind of in. But
on American Graffiti or THX?
American Graffiti, I believe it was.
Okay.
So that was.
That's how Ron Howard got Happy Days. I think was American Graffiti, right?
I think you might be right. Yeah,
it was because it was a 50s nostalgia trip.
Yeah, she was. It was American Graffiti. She was nominated for a BAFTA award for Best Actress, and it's been far too long since I've seen that movie, and I will have to go back and see it again. We can kind of get into the movie a little bit if you'd like to chat about some of the scenes that had happened.
30 minutes in, sure.
7 pages of notes, Patrick.
Okay, at what point does Beef enter into it?
I'm going to save that clip for a while.
Shut your trap.
Beef comes into it on page 3 of my notes, which is actually coming up here soon.
Good to know we're almost halfway. So the way that you will watch it, if you, dear listener, it opens with the AI of the ship having a radio announcer voice, which actually I did think was funny. Or at least I like the idea of what you could do with that. And then it cuts to the captain and Beef. What's his actual name in this movie?
Radzinski.
But he's a character actor. He's done a whole bunch of stuff. But in this movie, he is Radzinski. Radzinski is reading alien porn from the future. And it is essentially like a scene from the Heavy Metal movie. it is heavy metal, right? It's John Candy, like weird alien, just like looking at porn while they're in space. It's
Yeah.
it's heavy
Yeah.
metal.
That's pretty much what they're. I mean, yeah. It's a good way. He's
Now it's before the heavy metal movie. It's not they're not cribbing on anything, but just for the vibes. So the idea is the captain is, as Leslie Nielsen's captain, is just this stuck up, harsh, severe guy. Rosinski is a sex pest. He's a sleazy, like gross, grody sex pest kind of guy.
But their dynamic together, I think, is fantastic. It's hilarious.
Right, because like the captain isn't any better than Rosinski.
Right. He just thinks he is.
Yeah, so he has this veneer of control. Bruce Kimmel is like playing John, the cook who only cooks synthetic food. He's very subdued, like nice guy type archetype, which is its own bag of worms.
Yeah.
And Cindy Williams is girl. Cindy Williams is the woman on the ship,
right?
She is playing a version of Shirley.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I think she does a good job of her role. But
I love Cindy Williams. She's definitely one of the more magnetic performances. Actually, everyone here is talented. I mean, Bruce Kimmel is talented, but his character is very dry. Leslie Nielsen's doing his Leslie Nielsen thing.
Yes, like
I forget Beef's real name, but like he's doing his
Gerrit
whole
Graham,
dedicated character actor.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Dedicated character actor. I have picked the vibe of this character and committing wholeheartedly, even though, oof. And then Cindy Williams is Cindy Williams, which is to say she's funny and magnetic.
Yeah, and this movie was it was originally written and filmed as kind of more of a kind of a slow paced comedy, more of a character driven comedy. And
Really?
when they cut it and re-edited it, they tried to like force that into more of a slapstick style comedy. And they tried to make it like Airplane, where it was just, joke after joke after joke and slapstick and funny.
Yeah, it's definitely not written like Airplane. Airplane has more jokes in a single minute of film than most things have in their entire runtime. And it takes a lot to do that. And not all of it's aged well. No. It's Airplane, for God's sakes. Yeah. But it does what it does at a very high level. But also it's working off of source material, because Airplane is not only a parody, it's almost a direct adaptation that is like being parodied. It's a flight movie.
Airport 77 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Because like they saw it on a hotel, like a late night on TV at a hotel, and just like MST3K'd around it because it was so bad. The thing that a lot of people do, but they're also talented comedy writers. So like, what if we remake this movie and then really go for it?
Yeah.
Which is more or less what they did. And they had structure.
Yeah, and you can't just take a movie and turn it into that. It's got to start as that.
And this film doesn't have because apparently it was sliced and diced in the editing room. This movie does not have structure. Yes. Scenes happen. Mm-hmm. Scenes begin. Scenes end. There are characters. There are musical numbers. There is a semblance of maybe at some point there was a plot. And yes, what is on the screen could work on the stage, but it does not work on screen. At all. Because like there's a musical number halfway through, and the musical number's fine. Like the song is funny, but nobody knows what to do. There's no choreography. The camera doesn't know what to show. The whole thing lands flat because it is not designed for film. However, you took that same setup, the song being "I Want to Eat Your Face." If you have that same setup and you do it on the stage where where all of the main cast that they just keep showing the non-reactions to are in fact background characters off to the side, and the alien is just doing his like lone soliloquy to the audience, that would play and the joke would land.
So it's interesting because the guy that they got to be in the suit was actually a really good dancer, and they had rehearsed and they had done these numbers and they had like planned all this stuff. And then he put the costume on and it weighed 80 pounds and the elbows were attached to the side. So he had no arm movements and he could barely move his legs because it weighed 80 pounds on him. So he kind of had to take a step down and it became more of like a silly kind of, I'm flipping my hands instead of like waving my arms kind of dance.
Does not land. But God bless them for trying.
And then they originally showed that when the alien was singing the song, they just showed the camera was on the alien the entire time, just singing the song. And like the original version, before even the director went back and edited it, that just bombed because it was not as interesting because you're just watching it the whole time. Flipping back and showing the reaction of everyone else is really what kind of makes that scene.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. Like, it creates the semblance of action where there is none, but ultimately, because of the suit design, there is no action.
Yeah.
So it exists as like audio comedy without a visual component that really works for it. And so again, I don't think it lands. I think it's the first verse, like I want to eat your face, lands, and the rest of the song is more protracted. Although while we were watching it, like in the setup for the scene, they've captured the alien and they're like trying to figure out what it wants, and they realize they can use the AI to translate its thoughts or some shit. And then my fiance, she's like, it's gonna say I want to eat your face.
Did she really call
that?
You know,
it's funny you did. And I'm like, it's funny you should say that. And then the song starts. She's like, holy shit.
Nice.
So,
so getting back to where we're at in the movie, I think. So they did this talent show thingy, and it was weird because the talent show was out of place from where it was like in the movie, because it just was.
Where in the movie would that be in place? See, this is why it feels very theater to me, right?
Yeah.
Like we've developed a ruse by which we can have people perform because the scenes move in and out, but we need to create action. This is the theater. We need a musical number. Let's just have a talent show on a spaceship. Why not? Yeah. That's what that feels like to me.
Yeah, and it was done earlier in the movie before they even went to the planet as a way to kind of get you introduced to the characters. And that's, kind of what it does a little bit. You get to see a little exaggerated version of everyone. John doing his boring cooking show with he's putting this just stuff all over.
Stir, whip, 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 stir, whip, stir. This is a joke about the Star Wars holiday special.
And then, oh yeah, God. Now I have that image in my head.
One of us has watched the Star Wars holiday special more than the other one.
That's for sure. And then Leslie Nielsen does a hilariously slow, long, boring read of the captain's log. And Rodzinski's just.
This is when they say the date.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. And Rodzinski's just yelling at him about that. And then Cindy Williams comes on and does a little dance number. And it was a lot funnier in the director's cut because Rodzinski busted out like a Polaroid camera and was taking pictures of her while she was dancing, but then he was hiding the Polaroids in the plant that was behind him, so he can get them later. So it played out a little bit funnier instead of it just being cut away. And they really cut her dancing down a little bit, so it didn't quite have that. It didn't have a good build up like the other one did. It was okay. Like I said, it was just one of those cut and paste kind of things. But yeah, and then it cut to the scene, and this is the scene that you had messaged me about because it was like three girls on the couch talking like a news reporter kind of scene, and then they threw in the This Island Earth clip.
Right. So there's a clip from the movie This Island. If anyone does not know This Island Earth, of course, being a B movie about people being transported to another island in which there is an alien. It has like a weird green giant brain and like pincers or hands. If you have seen Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie, the feature length production of the show in which they make fun of other feature length productions, The movie they use in that movie is This Island Earth.
Huh. I did not watch that, so now I'll have to go back and watch that.
Oh, that's a great one because it's like that's where the normal view joke comes from. Easily one of my most quoted riffs. You should definitely watch the movie. Hold on a minute, just a second. Let's see. Hold on. I said so. How many people owed Bruce Kimmel a favor? That alien costume is from This Island Earth. Oh, they're using footage from old movies. And then I finished with strong community theater vibes.
Yeah. So that, I mean, and so this footage was not originally planned as being part of the movie. And then they took some weird dialogue and put on top of that, which I cut so you can hear it, but it was really stupid because they tried to make the movie a little bit more juvenile and slapstick. Here it
I
is.
feel like a new man. There are many wonderful advantages to my new body. Everything has been transplanted and rearranged for greater strength and mobility. The only problem is I have to take a leak, and I don't know where my pee-pee is.
Comedy.
Yeah, let that one just sit there.
Just add a clip from Sondheim. Just like comedy tonight.
Oh god! And then it had and then later on there was that alien fight where you saw a bunch of aliens and monkeys on the planet, and that was from a Japanese TV show called Spectraman.
Yeah, I didn't know which show, but I definitely saw that. I'm like, okay, now I know where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we go back to the Cindy Williams screaming thing. They go to see a couple things, and then she's like tanning. And as she's trying to tan, Radzinski just tries to bust in on her while she's tanning, and she shoos him away. And then somebody starts creeping up again, and it's the monster this time. Of course, that old gag. It's not. You think it's a thing the first time, but it's not. And like we had mentioned, Radzinski with Gerrit Graham, who's also making his second appearance on the podcast because he was in Big Man on Campus as well. And we talked about him a lot there, so I won't go too far into it. But did you notice that he was wearing a hat with the Grateful Dead logo on it?
I did not, because the Grateful Dead exists to me as only a joke about cheese sandwiches in the parking lot.
Well, he is actually friends with the Grateful Dead, and he wrote a couple of songs for them. So he wanted to wear one of their hats to represent them.
Can you really call them songs?
Well,
just jam
yeah,
sessions.
well, he wrote down a couple lyrics. He wrote some words on a napkin somewhere. I don't know.
If we have listeners, and if those listeners are deadheads, they will hate me. But there are some wild statistics that have to happen for that to be a reality. I have had this argument with people before. If someone's like, if you don't like the Grateful Dead, man, you don't even have a soul. I'm like, are you sure? Because it just sounds like they forgot to stop playing at some point.
No, if you don't like the Grateful Dead, that's because you have not smoked enough weed. That is what.
It's entirely possible because every time I have tried, it has had no effect on me.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta get really, really. You gotta spend the whole weekend getting high, and then go and see them, and then it's all good. Yeah. And he was like friends with with one of the original founders, not Jerry Garcia, but the other guy, Bob or Bill or something. I'm obviously not a deadhead either, so there you go. So yeah, that was that little fun fact about Gerrit Graham there. And then we go through a lot, like we kind of mentioned in the brief overall. They try to go to see who gets the alien, and then the alien just kind of surprises them, and the captain tries to shoot him with the stun gun and ends up knocking out John. And then it's immediately like they're back in the lab with it set up behind this cage thing. So it's a giant alien, 6.5 feet tall or so, 6 feet tall, something like that.
Yeah.
That they somehow managed to get back inside of this plexiglass cage of some sort.
It's not even a cage. There's a door.
Yeah.
The door they just open and walk in and out of. Like it's just a door. Okay. And then this is 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Released in 83 according to IMDb, but filmed in 1980. So Monty Python and the Holy Grail came out in 1974. And they just wholesale ripped this joke off. because the doctor is convinced that the alien is not harmful, despite the fact that he's just sang an entire song about eating them. So he goes into the door, and the alien begins ripping off his limbs. And the doctor just denies that it's happening. He's just playing. Yeah. That's fine. It is beat for beat the Black Knight.
I didn't even think about that when watching that. But yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, the makeup's way worse because you could see like his arm shoved in his coat as he whips off the prosthetic arm.
Yeah. Originally, they filmed that with some blood squirting out too, but then they decided that would be too much for a comedy movie. So
no, they decided it would be exactly like the Black Knight scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was singing the song, "I Want to Eat Your Face." And I enjoy that song. I think about that song almost on a daily basis.
It's a good song. It's the high point of the film.
Yes.
The two jokes that work for me are the "I Want to Eat Your Face" song and the fake out scream that Cindy Williams does early when she's like turns around and full on horror movie screams for like 2 minutes straight and then goes, "Oh, it's just you, John. You scared me." That's genuinely funny. Outside of that, I don't know how much of this movie actually lands. And it might be an editing problem. It might be a pacing problem. It might be scripting. I see where the jokes are, and I still maintain it would work on the stage in like a black box theater with like 20 people in a room. But I don't think it works on screen.
Yeah, it was definitely an editing problem because, if you saw that scream at the very front of the movie, it kind of sets the expectation and it goes on. But I have to say one of my favorite parts of that song is the
"Let me eat those knees. Don't you tease me."
I don't know why, but it always makes me laugh because he sticks his little monster hands out. "Let me eat those knees." Oh man. Yeah. So yeah, and then like you said, he eats Stark, and then I had to clip another scene real right here because in perfect Leslie Nielsen deadpan straight humor.
Oh yeah, there's
not that one. This one.
It appears to have eaten Dr. Stark.
Appears?
Okay, yeah, that also is a good joke.
Appears? No. So yeah, and then they try to go to grab the tranquilizer gun. The monster, they come back. The monster escaped. They're running up and down the halls, trying to chase it and run from it and chase it. And the monster's running down halls. Now, during these scenes, and basically any other scene where there was no dialogue, Leslie Nielsen was using his fart toy while they were filming. So if you look close, there's one scene where him and Radzinski are walking down this hall. And you see Radzinski kind of look back over his shoulder really quick. And that's because Leslie Nielsen did the fart machine and it caught him off guard. Now, Patrick, you may think nothing good came of this movie, but I have a surprise for you because just today, I located the maker of the same fart toy that Leslie Nielsen used. And I ordered some. It's basically just like a little rubber tube with like a hole in it, and you squeeze it on the palm of your hand, and you could kind of make different noises depending on how you squeeze it and how long you squeeze it. It's going to be fun. I know what I'm bringing to your wedding.
Oh, God. Is it too late to rescind it? You're gonna get along great with my dad.
So back to the movie. The captain and Radzinski are yelling at each other, their face, and then the monster sneaks up and basically kills them, so they're dead. And they come back and all they find.
And also, again, I want to stress how uncinematic all of this is. The giant monster flops on top of them, and they all just kind of just like around on the ground until the camera cuts away.
Yeah, and then
I understand that there were editing problems, but also no one on set knew what to do with a movie.
It was kind of
it was the least cinematic film we have featured on this podcast, and I am including Death by Dialogue in that statement. Now, it is a better movie than Death by Dialogue. The production standards are better, but it is less cinematic, and that means something.
So, and then Officer Cindy Williams, Officer McHugh comes up with an idea. They decide, since the monster likes singing and dancing, that they would distract the monster by singing and dancing. And that's exactly what they do.
This is, again, theater. This is all this is.
They wanted to do a little bit of a musical.
So they sang a song about being two bachelors?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. And he doesn't even remember why he wrote that song for it.
Because he just had it sitting around and he was like, what song are we going to throw in? Oh, I've got this other song I written for something. Great, just throw it in there. Because again, it is a theater song for theater kids.
Yeah.
It has no place or grounding. It's like bang, bang, bang goes to Charlie. Oh, it's clang, clang, clang goes to Charlie. I have to be exiled forever.
Yes,
now.
I enjoyed the musical numbers. I think it was fun.
It's not bad. No. It's not that. That's not what my point is. It is fun. My point is, it is not a movie. My point is, this was written for the stage, and nobody did anything about it to stop it from happening.
They just gave him $1 million. He was like, "All right, let's go."
It should just be like an underground cast recording somewhere. Why the fuck does this exist?
Oh, it came with the full 24-bit CD. So that's, yeah, I got all the whole soundtrack on it, baby.
I will take the one song. We're good.
They distract it with a song and dance, and they eventually push it out of the airlock, and it just shoots off into the space.
Then it has a horror movie fake out ending where John thinks the monster is back, but he's just freaking out, and then it rolls credits. Is that the original ending in The Creature Wasn't Nice? Does that change structurally?
It is the original ending of the movie, but it was not the original written ending.
No, that's
so they had to change it they basically 2 days before filming, they had to change it to this. So the original ending was going to be the alien monster guy kind of going up to a ship, and it's Mark Hamill in the ship. Mm-hmm. And Mark Hamill agreed to this. He signed, he was ready to go in the ship, and he would open up the hatch and say, "May the and then right when he was about to say "force," the monster would jump out, and that would cut to black. Would be funny. Mark Hamill agreed to do it, but 2 days before shooting, he backed out, and he was like, he legally could do it, but he's like, I think I'll piss George Lucas off if I do this. So I'm out of respect to George Lucas, I'm going to back off and not do this joke.
No, and out of respect to it's 1980 and The Empire Strikes Back is about to come out, and I have another third movie on the docket.
Yeah. So there you go. So that was.
I mean, it was smart on his part because I think it would have pissed George Lucas off.
Yeah, and that was into the movie, but I have some notes.
I also have notes, but I have been expressing them loudly. Let me have yours.
But before I go into a little bit of the making of and behind the scenes stuff, if you notice, there was one cast member I haven't really talked about yet. Dr. Stark.
Yeah, it was kind of a stark realization.
God. It was his name was Patrick Macnee. Are you familiar with that gentleman?
I know, I've seen his face. I cannot place it. He is also doing a riff on the fucking doctor from Lost in Space.
Yeah, basically. He was in The Avengers, the British TV show, not the Captain America movie.
Yes,
He's in Spinal Tap, View to Kill, and The Howling.
Oh.
So
he was in Spinal Tap.
So he's in a lot of things. His history is a little interesting.
Oh no. Oh no.
So we're going to go way back to 1929.
Oh no. Was he a Nazi?
No,
what are you going to tell me?
No. So his parents actually had separated in 1929 when his mom came out as a lesbian. After she fell in love with a lady named Evelyn Spottiswoode, who was the wealthy heiress of the Dewar's Whiskey Company.
Okay. Rock and roll.
All right. So we're on track so far. Mom separated from husband. Mom fell in love, decided she was a lesbian, wealthy heiress of Dewar's Whiskey Company. There's a lot to go on here. So Patrick went to go live with his mom and Evelyn, and he was encouraged to call her Uncle Evelyn because she was butch and liked to dress in men's clothing. And they lived in a huge house with several lesbians, including Evelyn's ex-girlfriend, along with 45 dogs.
There's nothing I can say on this podcast that would be appropriate for that.
I'm not done yet. Are you familiar with, I believe it's called the Eton College, Eton College in the UK?
I feel like I've heard the name, but I don't know what it is.
It's one of those you probably heard. It's the largest boarding school in England. It's educated prime ministers, world leaders, Nobel Prize winners, generations of the aristocracy and all that stuff. So Uncle Evelyn helped pay for Patrick to go to that college, this nice prestigious college, where he ended up getting expelled because he was running an underground betting ring and selling pornography to his fellow students.
The man is a goddamn hero. I mean, serious. That's great. That's fantastic. I have heard nothing objectionable in this story. This story has been like awesome from start to finish so far.
Yeah,
I am on. And, at this point, I am on board.
All right. Well, it's over.
Okay.
Oh wait. He was on 2 episodes of Murder, She Wrote as well, playing 2 different roles.
Dude, so much more badass than I thought.
Patrick, he was perfect, but he was not the original actor in that role either. Let's see if you have any questions after this, because this is a lot. So the original voice of the computer was not this hippy dippy jock that they had.
I thought that was funny.
It was a guy named Broderick Crawford, who was the leading man in All the King's Men, and he was on a show called Highway. He had a deep, gravelly voice and was like an asshole. And it was kind of funny. I got a little clip of it for you to hear.
Why on earth did they ever make these abusive, emotionally unstable computers?
What do you mean emotionally unstable, you son of a bitch?
That is funnier.
Right?
Way funnier.
So yeah, that was the original voice. So that was one of the big things that they changed in it. There was also one line that I really wished was in this movie. Hold on, Susan.
Space. What a load of shit.
Just like that line. It was funny.
That's a pretty good line.
Yeah. So Bruce hates scary movies, but his friend took him to go see Alien. And when he walked out of the theater, he said, wow, that would have been a lot better if the alien did a song and dance. And
I have questions about Bruce, but they're already answered by the nature of how much theater work he has done. The man likes musical theater.
He loves musical theater. Produced 125 albums, more than that now.
Jesus.
Yeah. He wrote the script in 1980 in Cindy Williams' office and was told by the producers of this film, if he can get Cindy to sign on, they'll agree to fund the movie. So it actually took him 4.5 months to get her to agree, to get her agent to agree. And then on his birthday, she signed it. It's like, here you go. So
yeah, I imagine so, though, because like Laverne and Shirley is huge at this point.
Right. So that he's trying to get, her agent's trying to get her paid. Trying to get her top billing in the movie, all that stuff.
Trying to top billing, trying not to sully her reputation with a movie that's going to flop. also, just shooting around. TV shows, by the way, take a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot
and
of time.
Demand a lot of time.
Yeah.
So like budgeting a movie in the middle of all that, also difficult. However, Laverne and Shirley is on the air until 1983, which is when this movie is actually released. So, like, it is good to diversify at that point. Because, like, what Big Band on Campus is 1987?
I think that's what... Yeah, I think so.
88. So, like the show's been off the air for a while at that point. So, you got to get out there.
Yeah. So that's how it kind of started. It was just him and Cindy. And he was all set. There's the captain. They originally got a gentleman named Richard Benjamin, who was in the movie Westworld.
I like that movie.
Yeah, so he was in that, and he has also done a lot of theater work. So they had
Yul Brynner was in that movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a tangent. It amounts to nothing.
No, that was it. It just ran into a wall. Boom. That's it. Nothing else to go on.
Well,
that.
I mean, Yul Brynner was great. He would show up in things, and then what do you got to say about it after that? You got nothing. I guess Yul Brynner.
Yeah. And
I'm
sometimes
editing all of this out.
Sometimes I like to eat breakfast for dinner. Anyway, so yeah, you had Richard Benjamin there. He was originally the captain. And then the role of Rudzinski originally was cast and signed and agreed was Christopher Lloyd.
I could see that. It works with his taxi driver character.
Exactly. That's where it kind of came from. So he's like, all right, well, this should work. So they had Christopher Lloyd signed on. Good to go. Now they needed to fill the role of Dr. Stark. They offered it first to Laurence Olivier, who immediately turned it down.
Right, because he's fucking Laurence Olivier. What the fuck were you thinking?
Shoot for the moon. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, that would be like saying, hey, Daniel Day-Lewis, I wrote a fart comedy. You want to be in my fart comedy? Method actor Daniel Day-Lewis? Am I wrong?
No. They decided to bring it down and bring it a little bit more realistic. So they offered the role to Christopher Lee.
I mean, you could get Christopher Lee. Jesus Christ.
Christopher Lee loved the film. He loved the script until the scene where Dr. Stark got eaten, and he did not want to be eaten. So he turned the movie down.
Really?
Yeah. And then they...
very interesting. Christopher Lee had like a bad relationship with like someone who was super into Vor.
I can't
go through this again.
This isn't happening. Then it was also offered to Jose Ferrer, who you may remember as the mayor in that lovely movie, The Being, that we watched.
The Being.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jose Ferrer's agent refused to even send the script to him because he was like, he is above doing this film. And then 3 or 4 years later, he did The Being. So, yeah, I think that went downhill quickly. So anyway, you had your cast here. You had your Dr. Stark. They eventually got a hold of Patrick McNee, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So I was like, "Cool, they got it ready." About a month before filming, Richard Benjamin, the guy that got to play the captain, told his agent that he decided he wants to become a director, and the only way he was going to be in this movie is if they let him co-direct. And
so he was out.
Bruce Kimmel said, nope. So he's like, all right, then I'm out. So then they had to recast the captain, and they thought Leslie Nielsen would be perfect because of his character in Forbidden Planet and his character in Airplane.
Forbidden Planet.
You kind of mesh those two together, and it's basically his role here. So that worked out. The next day, Christopher Lloyd dropped out because he was going through a nasty divorce and didn't want to be in a comedy while he was going through a divorce. And they were like, no, that was his second of 4 divorces.
We are a pro Christopher Lloyd podcast.
Yes.
As far as we know.
He was just in the Mandalorian. So now they had to cast a new Rudzinski. And you know who they had read for Rudzinski as well? Tim Thomerson.
I'm out.
But wait, we haven't talked about beef yet.
What?
So Bruce Kimmel absolutely loved Gerrit Graham as Beef in Phantom of the Paradise. So they called him up to see if he'd be interested, and boom, he was interested. So yeah, so that was the original thing, and they filmed the movie. They had the full thing going on. They screened it. It was bomb. They hated it. So he re-edited it, changed a bunch of things, screened it again, got a lot of laughs. He was kind of on the right track. This is only the second movie he's directed, so he's kind of all right. Well, I'm gonna edit this, and I could change this thing around, and I could do this a little bit better. So he started doing it, and they previewed it again, and it was getting better. It was getting more laughs. It was kind of flowing. But then the producers called him up and they were like, no, we're taking control of this now. We're going to do this. So send the movie to us. We'll edit it and we'll put it out there. You're done. Have a nice day. So they just took the movie from him, basically. And yeah, they took it, they re-edited it, moved a bunch of scenes around, added some stuff in that wasn't there originally, and Bruce Kimmel hates that version. He thinks the version that you saw is the version that the director hates. Because they ruined. That
feels appropriate.
It kind of ruined his movie by changing a lot of things on there. That is, the creature wasn't nice. Whew, that was a lot to go over. Do you have any other questions about this movie?
No, you were thorough. I don't know where I'm going to go from there.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to play this clip of the entry scene when it was Rudzinski with the captain here.
And don't think we all haven't noticed you doing everything humanly possible to look down the front of Officer McHugh's blouse every time you get the chance. Shut your mouth.
So, and when Leslie Nielsen read that line, he decided to, on his own accord, that anytime he was next to Cindy Williams, he would kind of try to look down her shirt. And it's really noticeable in the song with the alien, because he's really like staring hard, and he like does a serious look back at the alien. That worked pretty well. I think you might need to rewatch this movie. I think you might like it a little bit more.
I didn't dislike it. I just didn't think it landed.
Yeah. Yep. And maybe I'll send you a copy of the director's cut. You can entertain yourself with that and see what you think.
I'd be game to give it a again. Again, like, I don't think the movie is bad. Mm-hmm. I just don't think the material, as edited and presented to me, worked as a movie.
Yes, and you will agree with the director then. So I think he'd be happy to hear that. Bruce, thank you for doing the commentaries and bringing this this version to light, because it's definitely an improvement. But the producers made a lot more than 3 changes to this movie.
They also made Springtime for Hitler in Germany.
In a way, I brought you here to offer you a job. You think you can do it better, so here's your chance.
Okay, 3 changes to
3
this
changes.
movie?
Only 3 changes.
All right, so it's no longer a movie. Now it's a black box video production. Oh, God, as a movie. Oh, fuck, man. Jesus Christ. Well, there's got to be a different way to end it than a song about bachelors.
So come up with a better final song?
A better ending, however you do it. A better final song, a better song and dance number, a better anything.
Okay. We'll go with that.
Needs to be more... Get a different cinematographer.
Right.
The sets are fine for what they're doing, but you have got to shoot this differently. It has to be shot like a movie and not like I put cameras in a place.
All right.
I sound like an asshole. I'm sorry. Look, this works as a play. It doesn't work as a movie. Okay. I guess put the gravelly voice back. That was fun.
Yeah. I think the gravelly voice was pretty fun. At one
point, those are my 3, not at all sweeping and broad changes. And if anyone involved in the movie is listening, I am sorry.
Oh, I'm going to send a copy directly to Bruce. I have his email. Actually, I did communicate with him to find out where I could get this copy from, because it was originally an Indiegogo, and the only place I saw it was on that Kritzerland website, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I don't know, and it was like movie coming out in December, and I was like, "Is it last December or this? I don't understand." So I sent him an email like, "Is it available? Can I buy it?" He's like, "Yeah, go here and order it." I was like, "Cool." So I ordered it. And they were nice enough. I guess they had some reported issues with the first batch of DVDs that came out. So he sent me 2 copies of the DVDs in case the one didn't work. So
okay,
so that's a bonus.
Well, good for him. Again, I didn't see the edited version. It might be better.
You will. I will make you watch it. We'll sit around with the little Leslie Nielsen fart machines and watch it together. It'll be fun.
Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya.
And that's why he had "Let Her Rip" on his on his tombstone. Yeah.
Did he really?
Oh yeah, his tombstone just says "Let her rip."
I guess it was appropriate that I said that before the trailer.
Yeah, I thought you said that for that reason, actually.
No.
Wow. Well, there we go. That works.
I'm just drinking and stupid. Dumb fucking luck, Dustin.
I guess so.
Are you okay with this episode? I think it's fine.
I think it's fine too. And you know what? This wraps up this episode.
All right.
Of Found on Shelf. We are Found on Shelf. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, review, whatever you got to do.
Or therapeutic help.
Yeah, subscribing is nice. It's nice to see subscription numbers. Wherever you found us, we're on just about every podcatcher known to man. I've whored us out on everything I could find. So we've
had to get a couple penicillin treatments.
Yeah. So if you have a podcast,
I'm editing all of my commentary out. It's just what you say.
What is he laughing at? So yeah, you can check us out, foundonshelfpod.com, or you can go to podpage.foundonshelfpod.com. There's another one I just started up, so that's fun. Also, we are Found on Shelf Pod, all one word, on the tweets or the Dogecoin blog, whatever it's going to be called. Instagram,
the
Facebook,
TikToks, if it still exists.
Yeah, Letterboxd, Tumblr, Coho, Spoutable, Pinterest, Podpage, Good Pods, everywhere you want. Just search Found on Shelf Pod or
shout it into the distance, and a sparrow will descend.
Google search, Bing search, Ask Jeeves. Is that shit still around? I don't know.
I don't know. Let me find a butler and ask him if Ask Jeeves is still around.
So you can find us pretty much everywhere. Or if you can't find us,
if you scry with entrails, the guts will spell out where to find us.
yeah. Smoke signals. We got everything. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Ask Jeeves just became ask.com. It's kind of the same, but different.
Oh,
that makes sense. Lame. Yeah. Not as fun, but yeah, I haven't tried asking my little Google assistant here to play the podcast. I wonder if it would actually do that, but I'll try that later. So you might be able to do that. Or you could just shoot us an email at foundonshelfpod@gmail.com, and you can let us know what you think of the show, offer any suggestions of movies you'd like us to cover or check out. And if you couldn't find us on something, let me know, and I will sign us up to that something, because I'm just like that.
So anyway, on milf.com,
I should have recorded the whole thing.
Why? I'm only going to use like 6 seconds.
I know, you always do.